Hello fellow humans and welcome to another episode of Your Replays. I know it takes a while, but I got stuff to do. Now, today we're going to focus on autoloaders and how to not throw games, obviously. And yeah, ideally you don't want to throw your games. Ideally, you also don't want to do what that E75 is doing, and on their side, you have the C cap, you have the D cap. Why would you want to go for A? You don't come up here, ever. That is a very bad idea, and if you have a competent team, then that guy will be completely and utterly punished, and there is nothing he will be able to do about that. Now, we're following Briff here in the MX-50B, and a very low amount of APCR, which is commendable, which is very nice. However, in some cases, you still want to have a lot of it. I personally load a couple of premium rounds more than you should, because lower damage is better than no penetration. Now, the 50B has 4 shells, and 3 seconds as a clip through. That is 9 seconds that you need to stay peaked. In 9 seconds, a lot can happen. And unless the enemy doesn't quite know what they're doing, there you go, switch to APCR, but it doesn't pen anyway because wargaming. At this point, what you need to do with an autoloader like this one is you need to play around the team. You can see the 2 and 5B. You can see another heavy that are up here. Briff can't be attacked, can't be pushed in this position. And that is exactly how you play a vehicle like this, because if you're the one that gets attacked, then you're the one that loses hit points. Ideally, if you know that your team's not the smartest bunch, which is the case for a lot of times, you can use their hit points to make them more effective by using their hit points for your own gain. You do the damage, they lose the hit points. It's a win-win for the team, because you keep your hit points and you can use it later. In an autoloader, you pretty much do that all the time. Your team's hit points are your hit points, because a 50B isn't very well armored. It does have solid hull armor, however, these complete side and rear can be HE'd. Turret can be penned, except for obviously the gun mantlet, which is very funky. The E100 is stock, which is not what you want to do with an E100, which is the only really weakness of the E100. Like I always say, the E100 is a great beginner tank. That's the only downside. They have to play the stock gun for quite a while. It is the mouse gun, so it's like not completely bad. However, it is definitely something that you can consider as stock, because it's obviously an absolutely horrible gun. And again, what we have here is exactly how you want it to be. The 6TP is focusing on the 215B, and Briff in the MX-50, just jump on him and get his clip off without getting damaged or shot or anything of the sort. Now, that may look penetrable, but it's just a decal. Don't shoot that. For the most part, an engine deck, you can't pen it with HE. Not because of the thickness, but because of the angle. Especially also in a situation like this, because it's still like 70-degree angle when you shoot down like that. So I wouldn't recommend shooting HE at engine decks unless you're completely above the tank, where you can just directly shoot into it. But the Object 263 is a great example for that, where you could shoot the engine deck. You don't need to try to look at the front plate or anything like that. Just shoot in the engine deck. It doesn't have armor. At this point, the enemy ISA has gotten 3 kills. It was a 5 versus 2. Now it is a 2 versus 1. And the enemy does have almost 800 points and 2 cap circles, which, despite 6,400 damage, they're still doing really well. Now, the IS-8 has 2 choices right here. Sit in the same corner and possibly lose because he's getting pushed, or move out, hide, get yourself to a position that the enemy won't anticipate you to be in, and possibly win based off the points. Now, what does he do? What would you choose? And why would you not like and subscribe and check out my new merch store? Link to that in the description and also pinned in the comments, ideally. Check it out. A lot of good stuff there. Get yourself a panda mug. Would really appreciate that. It's not some garbage. It is high quality. So if you need something or want something, check it out. And it helps me out as well. So thank you for your support. The IS-8 obviously doesn't do the smart thing, and he stays in his corner, and he gets wrecked at 910 points. That's how you throw. And the other thing is how to play an autoloader. Well, it's very easy. Let your team take the damage for you. Find a spot where you can take damage, and then run away to reload. And that's 200,000 credits there for a tier 10, which is quite solid, given that it's not even a premium tank. And now we're going to have a look at the Lorraine 40T. And it's going to be very similar again, and the recipe for good result is very similar for vehicles like this. That is, you're, for the most part, left alone, while you can get clip after clip off into the enemy. Because, here's the thing. You don't want to play the hero and fight 1v3. You don't want to do that. You never want to do that. You want to get 1v1s. Ideally, you want to get unfair fights. 2-on-1, 3-on-1. Because that way, you have the advantage. That's how war works. You don't play the hero. You play the tactics and the strategy. So, at this point, the strategy is that the enemies are full dummies. However, Drakon, Dave, yes, you, team has a couple of dummies. And the problem is more dummies is better than less dummies, because more dummies beat less dummies, right? If the enemy team, the entire enemy team is in the city, they can overwhelm 2 or 3 guys on your team that are in the city. So, you either fully commit to the city, to the bad part, and A and B, you either fully commit to that side, or you don't go there at all. That's how this works. And you go middle and medium side, which is where most of the time you're supposed to be. Anything that is a medium and a light tank belongs there. Obviously, anything that is a tank destroyer can support that very easy, because obviously the firing lines are often very open, whereas in the city you have houses in the way, which means tank destroyers don't work there properly at long range. And any heavy tank that is good with gun depression is also supposed to be in the dunes and not in a flat 90-degree angle city. So basically you're left with the VK90, and that's about the tank that pretty properly work in a city. Yeah, you don't want to go there. Now, as you can see, the enemy team has completely committed to the city, while Dave's team here has not. Some of them went city, some went field. And ideally, you do want the map control. However, you don't want to be split up in a way that you can't support each other properly. And that's what happened here, right? The enemy fully went city, pushed a couple of people that were there, and now they have a 6 versus 3 advantage, which is unfortunate. So either you commit to the damn city, which you absolutely shouldn't, or you don't go there at all, which is the more preferred method for pretty much any tank that isn't a rear turret side-scraping vehicle. And even there, it's questionable, which we'll see later in a 2-5B as well, which will be a great example of how to throw away, very much. A great example of not throwing away are my channel members. Special thank you to them. Ha, gotcha. Now, I'm selling out, am I? Damn. It's been a long time. I'm starting to sell out, but here we are. So, the Centurion is playing a very good tank destroyer role that unfortunately he forgot to be a tank destroyer, and that doesn't quite work. Now again, Supremacy is not a great mode if you actually enjoy winning based on merit. The enemy is 100 points ahead, has 1 cap circle, and it is a 4 versus 2. Some people now are going to charge in and die. Those people are stupid. What we do is disengage. We have a vehicle here that is mobile. That is also the only vehicle in the game with rubber wheels. Just as a side note. Ideally, take out the RS3, take out the IS, right? Reduce the enemy guns. Doesn't matter if there are 3 tanks on the enemy team that have all 40%ers. If they have 3,000 DPM against your 2,000, they're going to win anyway. Even if they miss half their shots. Because they still have more. So what you want to do in a situation like this is disengage and take out vulnerable vehicles, right? You have an autoloader? Ideally, you know your clip. The more you know, the better you'll play. It's that simple. If you know the enemy's reload, if you know the enemy mobility, if you know the enemy's armor, you know where they can be, you know what they can do, and you know how easy it is for them to beat you. If you know that, you're already a good player. That's it. There's no secrets to Blitz, really. It's just learn your shit. It's like school, but less fun. So, you don't have to, obviously. However, the more you know, the more you randomly happen to pick up. Obviously, the more tanks you play, because if you play a tank, you'll know how it plays against you as well, for the most part, as long as you're playing that thing competently. At this point, 920 points, 1v3. S1 seems very much unwinnable, and that's where it comes down to losing those 2-3 tanks very early. They go city, they throw away, and that's almost it. And recovering from that does become somewhat tricky, which is obviously not amazing. Now, the KV-4, well, it could be winnable if our boy here would have some hit points. And could clip the KV-4, but he can't. And that's unfortunate. And they win on 1,000 points, so it wasn't even an elimination. However, it is still an ace. And now I'll show you a game in a 2 and 5B how easy it is to throw. How do you throw? Well, here's the thing. Blitz is about having fun, right? Having fun is the most important priority. And safety is also #1 priority. Because the more safe you are, the less hit points you lose, the more damage you can do, the more you'll win. Ha! Now, how do you do that? If you're a very good player, you'll know how good your team is. You can sort of gauge how good a player is based on their movement, based on their shooting style, all those kind of things. And then you can decide, is this a guy that I can help, that I can rely on, or is this a guy that is a mobile hit point dispensary, basically. Well, most of the time, they're mobile hit point dispensaries. So, if you know that, then you can play off that. One very important thing is also the minimap. Look at the minimap. Know what's going on. It's very simple. Maybe 10-15 seconds, look at the minimap. You can see exactly what is going on around you. And the Martin here is very much doing that, you know, getting yourself into a position where you can't be attacked very easily, and the enemies are focusing on the Badger and the 50 TP down there. This vehicle has very good HE rounds as well. And I definitely recommend loading those because they're very, very useful. I made a guide on how to use ammo a while ago. Check it out if you want. I also made a video on the Bat Chat, another autoloader. Check that out as well. Now at this point, it is a 3 versus 4. The 50 TP is going to die to the 60 TP very soon. 60 TP's rear can be HE'd with I think 187 millimeters of HESH penetration if you use calibrate. Now you don't have to know this, obviously. You don't have to know the exact penetration. All you gotta know, for example, 215B can be penned in the front, can side scrape very well, rear turret, has mobility equal to somewhat 57 heavy level, aka average heavy tank mobility, has fuel tank in the lower plate that's very easy to pen, has gun that is extremely strong. Now, if you were the enemy team here, you would be intelligent. What you do, MX-30B, one side, M60, other side. If you look at the M60, the MX fires. If you look at the MX, the M60 fires. Instead, they completely throw it away, jump on him, give him 4,000 free damage, and a completely and utterly free win. Disengage, play it wisely, and think about what you do. YOLOing in will never be useful. So don't YOLO. Look at what's going on. Learn your shit. Bye!